What made all the pets I know suddenly start hating me? My girlfriend's cat Luna was the first one to change. I'd been dating Rachel for 8 months, and Luna had always loved me. She'd curl up in my lap during movies and sleep at the foot of the bed when I stayed over. But on Tuesday morning, I reached down to pet her, and she hissed so violently that Rachel actually jumped. Luna backed into the corner with her ears flat against her head, making this low growling sound I'd never heard before. Rachel laughed it off, saying cats were weird sometimes, but Luna wouldn't come near me for the rest of the visit. She watched me from doorways with her pupils huge, like I was a threat. 2 days later, I went to my parents' house for dinner. Their golden retriever Bailey had known me since he was a puppy. He was the friendliest dog alive, the kind that got excited when the mailman came. But when I walked through the front door, Bailey started barking and wouldn't stop. My dad had to physically restrain him while I went inside. Bailey kept barking from the other room the entire time I was there. My mom said he must be getting senile at 10 years old, but the way he looked at me through the doorway felt personal, like he knew something about me that made him afraid. On Friday, my coworker Trevor brought his new puppy to the office for an hour during lunch. Everyone crowded around to see her. I reached down to pet the puppy and she yelped like I'd hurt her, then peed on the floor. Trevor picked her up quickly, saying she was still being house-trained, but I saw the look he gave me, like maybe I'd done something to scare her when no one was watching. That weekend, Rachel and I went to her friend's house for a barbecue. They had 2 cats and a dog. All 3 animals freaked out when I walked into the backyard. The dog started barking and pulling at his chain. Both cats ran under the porch and wouldn't come out. Rachel's friend Jess made a joke about me being the pet whisperer, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. I started avoiding situations with animals after that, made excuses not to go to my parents' house, told Rachel I'd meet her at restaurants instead of her apartment, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Why would every animal suddenly hate me? I hadn't changed my soap or cologne. I wasn't sick or acting different. Monday morning, I noticed something weird at work. There was a faint smell on my jacket that I couldn't identify. Not bad exactly, but strange, musky and chemical at the same time. I asked my cubicle mate Dylan if he smelled anything, and he leaned over and made a face. Yeah, dude, kind of like, I don't know, animal smell? When I got home, I went through all my clothes. The smell was on everything I'd worn in the past 2 weeks. Jackets, shirts, even my gym bag. I started pulling everything out of my closet, trying to figure out where it was coming from. That's when I found the small spray bottle hidden behind my shoe rack. Clear liquid inside, no label. I held it up to my nose and almost gagged. The same chemical musky smell, but concentrated. Someone had been spraying my clothes with something that made animals react with fear and aggression. My roommate Eric was out of town for work. I called him asking if he'd been in my room for any reason. He said no. Why would he be? That's when I realized Rachel had a key to my apartment. She'd stayed over multiple times in the past few weeks while Eric was gone. She had access to my room, my closet, everything. But why would Rachel spray my clothes with something that made animals hate me? I checked my phone and saw she'd texted an hour ago asking if I wanted to come over tonight. I drove to her apartment without responding, let myself in with the key she'd given me. Rachel wasn't home yet. I went straight to her bathroom and started looking through cabinets. Found the same bottle of clear liquid under her sink, hidden behind cleaning supplies. There were 6 more bottles, industrial sized. I was standing there holding one when I heard her key in the door, and that's when I saw what was really in her bedroom closet. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. Rachel freezes in the doorway, her eyes locked on the bottle in my hand. For a split second, her face shows genuine fear before shifting into something calculated and controlled. What are you doing in my bathroom? She asks, her voice eerily calm. I hold up the industrial-sized bottle. What is this, Rachel? Why are you spraying it on my clothes? She doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she walks past me into the bedroom, setting down her purse with deliberate movements. I follow her, the chemical bottle still clutched in my hand. You shouldn't have gone through my things, she says finally, not looking at me. That was private. Private? Every animal I've come near in the last 2 weeks has freaked out. Luna hates me now. My parents' dog Bailey tried to attack me. What the hell is going on? Rachel sighs and sits on the edge of her bed. You weren't supposed to find out this way. Find out what? I demand, my voice rising. What's in this bottle? She looks up at me with an expression I've never seen before, something cold and evaluating. It's a chemical compound I developed. It mimics the pheromones of predators that would normally hunt small mammals. Cats, dogs, they can detect it even when humans can't. My mind struggles to process what she's saying. You made this? Why would you spray it on my clothes? I needed to test it, she says simply. I needed to see which animals could detect it and how strongly they would react. I shake my head in disbelief. You used me as some kind of experiment without telling me? It was necessary, Rachel replies, standing up. Come here. I want to show you something. Every instinct tells me to leave, but curiosity keeps me rooted in place as Rachel walks to her closet. She slides open the door, revealing what I initially thought were clothes hanging on the rack. But as my eyes adjust to the dim light, I realize with horror that I'm looking at animal pelts. Dozens of them, meticulously preserved and hanging in neat rows. What the fuck? I stumble backward, nearly dropping the bottle. They're beautiful, aren't they? Rachel runs her fingers lovingly over a tabby cat pelt that looks disturbingly similar to Luna. Each one is perfect. I've gotten quite good at preservation. My eyes dart to her dresser where I now notice what I'd previously overlooked. Taxidermy tools laid out neatly alongside bottles of preservation chemicals. The room suddenly feels like it's spinning. These are pets? You've been killing people's pets? Rachel nods, unnervingly calm. Only the ones that can sense what I am. What you are? What are you talking about? She walks toward me slowly. Animals know. You see, they always know. Dogs, cats, they can sense when something isn't quite right, when someone isn't quite human. They've always hated me, always known something was wrong with me. My back hits the wall as I try to maintain distance between us. You're not making any sense. The chemical spray masks my scent temporarily, she continues, as if I hadn't spoken. But I needed to know which animals were most sensitive to detecting me, so I sprayed your clothes. You became my control group. When animals reacted to you the same way they react to me, I knew which ones could sense my true nature most acutely. She walks to her nightstand and pulls out a leather-bound journal. I've documented everything. Which breeds react most strongly, which individual pets within those breeds have the keenest senses. She flips through pages filled with names, dates, and detailed notes. Luna was particularly sensitive. So was your parents' dog Bailey. My stomach drops. You've been hunting people's pets because they can sense something about you? Only the ones that pose a threat, Rachel says reasonably. If they can detect suspect me, they might alert their owners. I can't have that. I edge toward the bedroom door. I need to go. Rachel moves faster than I thought possible, blocking my exit. I can't let you leave now. Not when I've shown you all this. Rachel, please, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. This is insane. You need help. No, she says, her voice hardening. What I need is for you to understand. I've been so careful for so long, hiding what I am. But with you, I thought maybe you were different. Maybe you were like me. Her eyes have a strange glint to them now, and I realize with growing horror that I'm trapped in this apartment with someone who's been systematically killing neighborhood pets and has just confessed to being something other than human. The spray was a test for you too, she continues. I needed to know if you'd figure it out, if you'd understand. I glance desperately toward the front door, calculating my chances of getting past her. Don't, Rachel says softly, following my gaze. You won't make it. And besides, where would you go? I've made sure your fingerprints are all over everything in this apartment. The chemical bottles, the preservation tools. Who do you think the police would believe? Me, the respected research chemist? Or you, the person covered in a chemical that makes animals aggressive? She smiles, and for the first time, I notice how her teeth seem just slightly too sharp. Now, she says, reaching for the bottle I'm still clutching. Let me show you what I've been working on next. Rachel's smile widens as she watches me process everything. She takes a step closer, plucking the chemical bottle from my trembling hands. Let me put this away, she says casually, as if we're discussing dinner plans instead of pet murder. I don't want to risk spilling it. I glance toward the front door again, calculating my chances. Before I can move, Rachel's hand shoots out, gripping my wrist with surprising strength. Don't even think about it, she warns, her voice dropping an octave. I really don't want to hurt you, but I will if I have to. She drags me back into the living room, shoving me onto the couch. I watch in stunned silence as she methodically locks the front door, sliding the deadbolt and chain into place. She turns to face me, holding out her palm. Phone. Now, when I hesitate, she sighs. Don't make this difficult. I can see it bulging in your pocket. I reluctantly hand over my phone, which she immediately powers off and tosses into a drawer in the kitchen. Good, she says, returning to sit across from me in the armchair. Now we can talk properly. Rachel, please, I begin, trying to keep my voice steady. Whatever's happening here, we can get you help. She laughs, the sound sharp and humorless. I don't need help, I need understanding. She reaches under the coffee table and pulls out a leather-bound journal I've never seen before. I want to show you what I've been working on. She flips it open, and I find myself staring at meticulously detailed entries. Each page contains dates, times, locations, and descriptions of animals, pets, along with notes about their behavior and reactions. Some pages include small photographs, paperclipped to the corners. This is Milo, she says, pointing to a picture of a golden retriever. His owner would leave him tied up outside the grocery store for hours while she shopped, sometimes in the rain. She flips the page, and this is Pepper. Her owner used to kick her when she barked too much. I stare at the journal, my stomach churning. You're targeting specific pets? Rachel nods, pleased that I'm catching on. Only the ones whose owners don't deserve them. I'm cleaning up the neighborhood, really. As she flips through more pages, I notice something that makes my blood run cold. Many of the pets in her journal match missing pet posters I've seen around the neighborhood. The tabby cat from the lamppost near the bus stop, the corgi from the community bulletin board, the white poodle from the flyers at the local coffee shop. You see? Rachel continues, oblivious to my horror. I'm not just killing randomly. I'm being selective, purposeful. But why? I manage to ask. Even if the owners are bad, why hurt the animals? She closes the journal, looking at me with something like disappointment. Because they can sense me. They know what I am, and they could expose me. She leans forward. But more importantly, I needed to test you. Test me? Yes. I needed to know if you could be my partner in this. Someone who understands the importance of what I'm doing. I swallow hard, forcing myself to nod. If I can just play along until I find a way out. I think I'm starting to understand. Her face brightens immediately. Really? I knew you would. You've always been different from the others. Special. She stands up abruptly, excitement radiating from her. Wait here. I need to show you something else. While she disappears into her bedroom, I quickly scan the apartment for potential weapons or escape routes. The windows are too high for a safe jump. The kitchen knives are visible in a block on the counter, but I'd have to get past Rachel to reach them. She returns moments later carrying a manila folder, which she drops onto the coffee table with a flourish. Look, she says, flipping it open. My heart stops. Inside are dozens of photographs of me at various pet crime scenes. Me standing near the park where the golden retriever disappeared. Me walking past the house where the tabby cat lived. Even one of me touching a garden gate where a Siamese cat was last seen. I don't understand, I whisper, though the horrifying truth is becoming clear. Insurance, Rachel says simply. I've been documenting your involvement from the beginning. Your fingerprints are on all my tools. There's evidence of your presence at every scene. She taps one particularly damning photo where I appear to be crouching near a bush at night. This one's my favorite. Looks like you're hiding something, doesn't it? I stare at the photos in disbelief. You've been framing me? I prefer to think of it as binding us together, she says, gathering the photos back into the folder. Now we're partners, whether you want to be or not. If I go down, you go down with me. The realization hits me like a physical blow. For months, Rachel has been methodically creating evidence against me, positioning me as her accomplice in this twisted killing spree. Even if I escape, even if I go to the police, who would believe me? Why? I ask, my voice barely audible. Why me? Rachel sits beside me on the couch, placing her hand on my knee. Her touch makes my skin crawl. Because I thought you might be like me, she says softly. Different, special. I still think you might be, deep down. You just need to embrace it. I force myself to look into her eyes, searching for any trace of the woman I thought I knew. There's nothing there but cold calculation and something else, something inhuman lurking just beneath the surface. What happens now? I ask, playing for time. Now, Rachel says, patting my knee. We plan our next hunt together. I have a list of potential targets, and I think it's time you helped me choose. I nod slowly, pretending to consider her words while my mind races through possible escape scenarios. I need to get to my phone. I need to contact Eric. I need to get out of this apartment before Rachel decides I'm not the partner she hoped for. I just need some time, I tell her. This is a lot to process. She studies my face, suspicion flickering across her features. Of course, she says finally. Take all the time you need. We have all weekend before Eric gets back. The mention of Eric sends a jolt of hope through me. If I can just hold out until he returns. Rachel stands up, stretching casually as if we've just finished watching a movie instead of discussing pet murder. I'm going to make some tea. Would you like like some? Sure, I reply, forcing a smile. That sounds nice. As she walks toward the kitchen, I notice her glance at the knife block, then back at me. The message is clear. She's watching my every move, anticipating any attempt to escape or fight back. I'm trapped with a monster, and the worst part is, she's made sure I look like a monster too. Rachel's head snaps up at the sudden ringtone. Her phone vibrates across the coffee table, Eric's name flashing on the screen. For a moment, she looks genuinely startled, the first crack I've seen in her calculated demeanor. Why is he calling? She mutters, snatching up the phone. He's supposed to be gone all weekend. She answers with forced cheerfulness. Hey, Eric! What's up? I watch her face transform as she listens, her eyes widening slightly. Tonight? But I thought. She glances at me, then at her journal of pet murders, still sitting open on the table. No, it's fine. What time will you be back? While she's distracted, I scan the room for anything I could use as a weapon or escape tool. The knife block in the kitchen is too far. The windows are sealed shut. My gaze lands on Rachel's phone, which she's gripping loosely as she paces. Okay, see you in a couple hours then, she says, ending the call. She turns to me, panic flickering behind her eyes. Eric's coming home early. His conference got canceled because of some plumbing issue at the hotel. She starts moving frantically around the apartment, shoving her journal into a drawer. We need to clean up. Everything needs to look normal when he gets here. I'll help, I offer, trying to sound cooperative. Just tell me what to do. Rachel pauses, studying me suspiciously. You're being awfully accommodating all of a sudden. I shrug, hoping my face doesn't betray me. Like you said, we're partners now. I'm just being practical. This seems to satisfy her. Good. Start by putting those photos back in the folder. I need to check that everything's properly stored in my room. She disappears into her bedroom, and I immediately grab her phone. My hands shake as I navigate to her messages and find Eric's contact. I type frantically, emergency, your roommate in danger. Rachel, not what she seems. Call police now. Just as I hit send, Rachel's voice comes from directly behind me. What are you doing? I spin around to find her standing in the doorway, her expression darkening as she spots her phone in my hands. She lunges forward, grabbing it from me. You texted Eric? She hisses, looking at the screen. Her face contorts with rage. You stupid. She slaps me hard across the face, sending me stumbling backward against the coffee table. The journal slides to the floor, pages of her meticulous pet murder records splaying open. I tried to be nice, she says, her voice unnervingly calm despite the fury in her eyes. I thought you were special. I thought you might be like me. Like you? I touch my stinging cheek. What does that even mean? Rachel's laugh is hollow. You really don't know, do you? I've been watching you for months, looking for signs. The way animals react to you sometimes, even without the chemical. The way you seem different from other people. She steps closer, and I back away until I hit the wall. I've been alone for so long, she continues. Do you have any idea what that's like? To know you're different from everyone around you? To have to hide what you are? In the distance, I hear sirens. Rachel hears them too, her head whipping toward the window. He called them, she whispers, then turns back to me with renewed fury. This is your fault. She rushes to the kitchen, grabbing one of the industrial-sized chemical bottles from under the sink. We don't have much time. Drink this. What? No. I try to move past her, but she blocks my path. Drink it, she screams, uncapping the bottle. If you're like me, it won't hurt you. If you're not, she shrugs. Well, then I was wrong about you. The sirens are getting louder. Rachel advances on me, bottle extended. Last chance. Prove you're special. I knock the bottle from her hands, sending it flying. It crashes against the floor, the cap coming loose. Clear liquid splashes across both our legs, soaking through our clothes. Rachel freezes, staring down at the spilled chemical. No, she mutters. Not on me. It's not supposed to touch me. Almost immediately, a strange sound fills the air, a distant howling that quickly grows in volume. Dogs barking, cats yowling, a cacophony of animal noises coming from all directions outside the apartment building. But what truly terrifies me is Rachel's skin, where the chemical splashed her. It's changing, rippling and shifting like something's moving underneath. The color drains from her face, replaced by a grayish tint that spreads upward from her legs. What's happening to you? I whisper, pressing myself against the wall. Rachel looks up at me, her eyes now completely black. The chemical, it's not just for masking my scent, she gasps, her voice distorting. It's for maintaining this form, but direct contact. It disrupts the process. Her hands begin to transform, fingers elongating unnaturally as her nails sharpen into points. You've ruined everything, she hisses through teeth that are visibly lengthening in her mouth. The sirens stop right outside the building. Heavy footsteps pound up the stairs as Rachel's transformation accelerates, her skin taking on a scaled texture where the chemical touched her. They can't see me like this, she says, panic evident in her inhuman voice. No one can know what I am. The pounding on the door starts just as Rachel lunges for me, her partially transformed body moving with impossible speed. Police! Open up! Her clawed hand closes around my throat, lifting me off the ground with supernatural strength. If I'm exposed, she whispers, her face inches from mine. You're coming with me. The door splinters as the police break through, and Rachel's grip on my throat tightens as the room fills with shouts and the blinding beams of flashlights. The door splinters with a final, deafening crack. 3 officers burst in, weapons drawn, shouting commands that blend together in the chaos. Rachel's grip on my throat loosens just enough for me to gasp a desperate breath. Police! Freeze! The beam of a tactical flashlight illuminates Rachel's face, and one of the officers lets out an involuntary, Jesus Christ. Her transformation has progressed further, her skin now a mottled gray-green where the chemical touched her, eyes completely black, teeth elongated into needle-like points. For a split second, everyone freezes in shock. Even the officers, trained to respond to any situation, seem momentarily paralyzed by what they're seeing. Rachel uses that hesitation to her advantage, flinging me aside with inhuman strength. My body slams against the wall, and I crumple to the floor, gasping. Get down! Get down now! An officer shouts, his voice cracking cracking with panic. Rachel moves with impossible speed, darting toward the bedroom. Two officers fire their tasers simultaneously. The barbs connect with her back, and her body convulses as electricity courses through her. She collapses, her partially transformed body twitching on the floor. "What the fuck is that thing?" one officer whispers, keeping his weapon trained on Rachel. Another officer approaches me cautiously. "Are you hurt? Can you stand?" I nod weakly, allowing him to help me up. My throat throbs where Rachel's clawed fingers dug into my skin. That's Rachel," I managed to say. "My girlfriend. Something happened to her when the chemical spilled." The officers exchange glances, clearly not knowing how to process what they're seeing. Outside, the animal noises have reached a fever pitch. Dogs howling, cats screeching, a primal chorus of alarms spreading through the neighborhood. "We need backup," the lead officer says into his radio, "and medical, possible, chemical exposure situation." He hesitates, clearly unsure how to describe what he's seeing. Rachel stirs on the floor, the taser's effects wearing off more quickly than they should. Her movements are jerky, unnatural, as she pushes herself up on arms that no longer look entirely human. "Stay down," an officer shouts, but Rachel ignores him, rising to her feet. "You can't take me," she hisses, her voice a distorted version of itself. "None of you understand what I am." She lunges toward the nearest window, but before she can reach it, all three officers fire their tasers again. Rachel's body convulses violently before crashing to the floor. This time, she doesn't get up. Everything after that becomes a blur of emergency lights, hazmat suits, and questions I barely have the strength to answer. I'm placed in an ambulance, separated from Rachel, who's loaded into a specialized containment vehicle. Through the window, I catch a glimpse of men in suits who definitely aren't local police, speaking urgently into radios. At the hospital, I'm quarantined immediately. Doctors in protective gear draw blood, scrape skin samples, and run tests I don't understand. They clean the chemical from my skin with specialized solutions while asking endless questions about Rachel, about the substance, about how long I've known her. 8 months, I tell them repeatedly. We've been dating for 8 months. I had no idea. I didn't know what she was. "And when did pets start reacting strangely to you?" a doctor asks, making notes on a tablet. "About 2 weeks ago. First it was Luna, her cat, then my parents' dog Bailey, then my coworker Trevor's puppy. Even my friend Jess's pets freaked out whenever I came near." They nod, exchanging glances I can't interpret. More tests follow, more questions. Hours blend into days as I'm kept in isolation, allowed no visitors, no phone calls, not even a glimpse of the outside world beyond my sealed hospital room. On the third day, a woman in a dark suit enters my room without protective gear, which I take as a good sign. "I'm Agent Mercer," she says, sitting in the chair beside my bed. "I need to ask you some final questions about Rachel. Is she alive?" I ask, realizing I don't even know. "That's classified," Agent Mercer replies without emotion. "What I can tell you is that we've completed your testing. You're human, completely human. No anomalies, no alterations, no signs of whatever affected Rachel. Relief floods through me. So I can go home?" "Soon," she says. "But first, I need you to understand something. What you witnessed never happened. Rachel had a severe psychotic break resulting from chemical exposure. The substance was an experimental compound she was developing for her work. It caused hallucinations and violent behavior, both in you and in her. That's the official story." "But that's the official story," she repeats firmly. "The one you'll tell anyone who asks. The one that will appear in all records. The one that, legally speaking, you are bound to maintain under national security protocols." I swallow hard. "And if I don't?" She smiles thinly. "Let's just say we'll be keeping an eye on you, for your own protection, of course." 2 days later, I'm released with a monitoring bracelet on my ankle that I'm told is standard procedure for witnesses in ongoing federal investigations. I return to an apartment that's been meticulously cleaned, all traces of Rachel's true nature erased. Eric is staying with friends, too traumatized by what little he saw to return. For 6 months, I try to rebuild my life. I switch apartments, jobs, even cities. The monitoring bracelet comes off eventually, but I never shake the feeling of being watched. Then one morning, a manila envelope appears on my doorstep. No postmark, no return address. Inside is a classified file with most details redacted, but certain sections left deliberately visible. Subject R, classified as non-human entity. DNA sequencing reveals unknown origin. 6 additional entities confirmed in North American region. Surveillance protocols established for potential human collaborators. The final page contains a surveillance photo of me walking down the street, taken just yesterday. A red question mark has been drawn across my face. Beneath the photo, a handwritten note reads, "Some of us are still out there. Some of us are watching. Some of us think you might be one of us after all." I close the file with trembling hands and look out my window. Across the street, a woman I've never seen before meets my gaze, smiles, and walks away. In her wake, a neighborhood cat arches its back and hisses.